Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's PDF44. So, in my head right now, I'm still on the Russell Westbrook to LA Laker thing. I've already made 2 videos on this, so if you're sick of this topic, I don't blame you. But it's what's on my mind right now, and the reason why I'm thinking about it, for one, is because I just got to watching a portion of a segment on it, not the full segment, but the portion of it, and also because I'm starting to try to figure out ways of making him fit, ways to make him fit. The types of players that you would need and the types of things that would need to happen in order for Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis to really smoothly fit. I think what you definitely need to make sure you have is shooters. Shooters. Spot up shooters, guys who can shoot off the dribble, guys. Any type of 3-point shooting you can get. Corner shooters, guys who specialize from shooting at the top of the key, guys who specialize from corner 3-point shots. I want shooters all over this roster. In fact, I will go as far as to say, with these 3 players, if I could get specialists shooting the ball who are pretty good at ball handling and can just help on the boards, I know this is a lot, I'm saying a lot, I would be willing to punt defense to a degree. Not all the way punt defense, because if you all the way punt defense, you ain't winning nothing. But I would be willing to go the offensive team route and let defense be secondary if we have Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and a ton of shooters. I think you have to be an outscoring the other team kind of team. Because even though Anthony Davis is a fantastic, obviously, defensive, pillar, Westbrook is not a defender. And LeBron James plays defense when he feels like it, honestly. The fit sucks because Bron and Westbrook aren't great shooters, and Westbrook's a terrible selector of shots, coupled with someone who is very ball dominant. Him and Bron obviously are both some of the most ball dominant players in the history of the game. Last time you put 2 of those guys together was him and James Harden, and it didn't go well. But that Rockets team did not have AD. So that's why I say it's okay to punt defense to a degree. Because even if you suck defensively everywhere else, you still have AD. And he at least makes the worst defensive team in the league maybe the 20th worst defensive team in the league with his presence by himself. You're not going to be the worst defensive team in the league. So, that's where I'm looking at. It's like, okay, if we put defenders around Bron, AD, and Westbrook, most of the time defenders, you end up punting shooting. With a lot of these guys, you punt offense. So we're relying upon AD, Westbrook, and Bron to score the bulk, which is fine, actually. That's actually fine. But what ends up happening is, because Westbrook's not a shooter, the floor shrinks. So that the closeouts and the double teams come quicker for AD and Bron. Westbrook is a guy that's left alone while they get crowded, and as a result, we have Westbrook shooting like 10 threes, making only 2 of them, empty possessions that are likely going the other way. It's a horrible fit if you don't have shooting to bail Westbrook out. I also know one thing about Westbrook that really does intrigue me that I like, though, however, is he historically plays great with centers. He makes centers look really good. And that's what I've noticed about him. Every big man that plays with him tends to have an uptick in their production. You look at what's going on with the Washington Wizards. They just brought in those 2 guys from Chicago, Hutchinson and Gafford. Those guys played better immediately when they played with Russell Westbrook. You remember how Enes Kanter looked with Russell Westbrook. Obviously, Adams looked fantastic with Russell Westbrook. They played together for many years and played off one another for many years very well. Um, I think about Serge Ibaka when he played with Westbrook and how well they played off one another. So Westbrook plays great with bigs. He really does. And him having Anthony Davis, I just love that combination. So if you remove LeBron James, believe it or not, I don't think this team is all that bad in terms of the prospects of making the playoffs with just AD and Russell Westbrook. I just like that tandem. They should, in theory, play off each other well if they have shooting. So I don't hate it. I'm telling you guys, I really don't hate it. It gives me LeBron James insurance if I bring in Russell Westbrook. I feel like Russell Westbrook's the exact type of player I want on my squad if a guy like Bron can't play, because he's going to do everything if he has to. You know, he's shown us this last year that he's still in that kind of shape. He still has that type of motor, obviously, and he's not going to slow down for anything. So in the event that somebody's missing, Westbrook's the kind of star you want. So that's how I value him. I don't think the price tag, from what I'm seeing, is too much. I don't want to give up THT, but they want Kyle Kuzma and Dennis Schroeder to buy. Happy to do that. So, yeah, man, it's warming up. I'm warming up to the idea, even though I don't love the fit. Non-shooters equals bad situations if you don't have more shooters to supplement that non-shooting. Russell Westbrook tends to overhold the ball, but I think if you have LeBron James on the team, I think over time they'll work that out, and by the end of the season they won't have the problems that they probably will to start the season. That's what I know. The greatness of a Russell Westbrook and LeBron James will figure it out. Bron is not the type of guy, unlike Kevin Durant, who needs to score, and James Harden, who need to score. LeBron James is very, very comfortable with somebody else taking more shots than him because he's getting all the assists. He's going to make sure that the ones they're getting the shots in their position. He's going to benefit from it. So he's not worried about scoring the ball too much. He would much rather somebody else do that for him. Someone who can look in the eye and say, I know that person's hungry. I know that person wants to win. I know they're capable of helping me win. He can look at Westbrook and trust Westbrook. And I'll tell you something else. Storyline wise, you hear me good, everybody. Nothing would be greater for LeBron James's tenure as the best player of this era, not all time, just this one, let's talk about it, than him doing what KD couldn't, which is win a championship with Russell Westbrook. And if he's able to beat KD's super team in Brooklyn with James Harden, with his old teammate Kyrie Irving, with Westbrook on his team, Westbrook, the same guy who is not on the Nets but probably should be based on his OKC tenure, instead, that's Kyrie Irving. I know he still feels a way about that because he does believe he can win with KD, even though KD doesn't believe he can win with him. You see what I'm saying? There's a dynamic there that Westbrook can stand to prove to gain from, and I don't think Westbrook would let this opportunity pass him by at all. I think we would get the best basketball from Russell Westbrook from a motivational standpoint because never has there been a more motivating factor than to win this championship in this fashion. It would be the ultimate last laugh for a guy who quite frankly deserves it in Russell Westbrook. He was the guy who stayed in OKC. He was the guy who endured the Rockets situation and was basically someone who got rendered as a player who has lost it all, even though he clearly had a lot left. He was a guy who was sent to Washington, which is basically banishment. You know, they Blake Griffined his ass, in other words. And he made the most out of it to the point where a team like the Los Angeles Lakers now want him. I don't think he comes in and does anything less than plays his best basketball. Now, there are certain tendencies that he has that I don't believe he's going to be able to shake, including his poor shot selection and his inability to pass the ball in some situations where you would like the ball to be passed sooner. He's an amazing passer. Do not get it twisted. He's one of the best assist men in the game. But the way that he gets assists is last-second passes. Dribble, do whatever I got to do, get it to my big man with like 3 seconds to go, he dunks the ball. That's how he gets a lot of his assists. That's not the way you want your ball to pop. That's not ball movement as we know it in terms of playing winning basketball, and there's a difference. And I think that the numbers don't tell the story. Russell Westbrook coming to the Lakers would need to play smart basketball in that regard, and he would have to forgo some things that come normal to him in order to win, and the sacrifice is necessary. But here's what I would tell Russell Westbrook. You look at your boy over there, James Harden. You see why it's working? You see why it's working? Because he's doing things that are outside of his normal stuff. He is facilitating more and scoring second, and as a result, the team put themselves in a position to win if not for injuries. We know they would have probably won the championship this year if not for injuries. So, you want to be where James Harden is, Westbrook? You come here and you make the sacrifice that he made, and you'll get the results that he's looking for, because that he's found rather on the floor, because that's how it works. The challenge for Westbrook is, can you play smarter basketball? You've been in this league for a long time. You come into a team with the smartest basketball player arguably ever in LeBron James, and somebody in Anthony Davis who's going to make life very easy for you defensively. Can you make life easy for them by not doing the things that hurt the game for you? This was the challenge for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Could he get out of his own way in certain ways, not taking bad shots, not holding the ball too long, things of that nature, so that he can implement the rest of his teammates to empower them to help him win? The answer was yes. He was able to bring it home by being the great player that he is in the end, but his teammates carried him to that point. His teammates played well when he wasn't 100%, when he wasn't at his best, when he wasn't quite playing the amazing ball that we ultimately seen him play in Game 6 to bring it home. He let them do them. And I think Russell Westbrook would stand to do the same thing and would win because of it. You've never played with this much talent. No disrespect to what OKC had. But if Russell Westbrook comes to the Lakers, he ain't never played with nothing like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. This would be his best opportunity to win a championship is in his entire career, including the year he went to the finals. Better shot at it. So, yeah, because of all that, even though the fit is funky in theory, I feel like a guy like Russell Westbrook playing at home, you got to understand, he's coming home if he comes to the Lakers. So the environment, I think all of that would bring him to a space that would ultimately lead him to his dream. I think we'll win a championship with Russell Westbrook. That's ultimately what I'm saying. I know the fit is funny, and we would have to do a lot to assure that we can do that. A lot of that has to do with Rob Pelinka, because you can have all the heart in the world and the right intentions, just like anybody, but if you don't have the right schematic stuff, if you don't have the right matchups, it could falter. So that's going to be his job, and we need him to hold up that end of the bargain somehow, building around these three guys. But if we do this and he does it right, I think we win, man. I think we win the whole thing. I feel like LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis will find a way to get to Brooklyn and defeat Brooklyn. Now, I don't know that the young teams, if the super team is built together, let's say Karl Towns, Dame Lillard, and freaking, I don't know, Bradley Beal all to come together. If a super team comes up like that tomorrow, Jason Tatum, De'Aaron Fox, and Joel Embiid, if they all came together tomorrow, I don't know that they are afraid of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook. And that's one of the things that I brought up yesterday. Is that enough to intimidate the young stars? I think you can intimidate everybody as it pertains to the names, but ultimately when you get on the floor, it's two old guys and an Anthony Davis who may be injury prone. Both of the old guys have had injury issues. If I'm a young spry De'Aaron Fox and I got two superstar stud Zion Williamsons, Karl Towns to the left and right of me, I feel like I can beat them old dudes. And that's the part that concerns me as well. On the pessimistic side, it's like I just don't know if those guys are going to make it through the season. Even we do everything we need to do, Westbrook goes down with an injury, Braun goes down with an injury, AD goes down with an injury, we're in the lottery. So it's like I could totally see something like that happening, and that is also a hesitation for me. That's why I like going young. But with that being said, as you can see, I've talked myself into and out of this topic. I'm open either way. I just don't want to give up THT, honestly. And I do believe the Lakers should hold out. Don't rush into a Russell Westbrook trade just yet. Keep those assets available for Dame Lillard, a Zach LaVine, a Bradley Beal. I just don't think we should jump in haste at Russell Westbrook because he isn't the best fit. And there are some guys who may want to be here who are better fits. So, yeah, I feel that way too. But, yeah, all in all, man, that storyline is too juicy to pass up. It is. It's a great one. And being that we don't have a whole lot of time left with LeBron James, Westbrook's on his way out and has no way to a championship. For sentimental reasons, I kind of want to see us do this anyway. I do. But we have a organization to consider, a future to consider, a post-LeBron James tenure to consider, Anthony Davis and his career to consider. We're responsible for it. And we got to do what's best for him and Bron. So whatever is best for him and Bron, that's what we need to do. That's what we need to do. My name is BDL44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.